qualified free zone. So as a rule, UA free zone is considered UA qualified free zone only if they meet these strict requirements. So what are these requirements? Number one, maintain adequate substance. Number two, must derive qualified income. Number three, not elected to be subject to the standard rate. Number four, must comply to transfer pricing procedures. Number five, must submit an external audit report. Okay? If you have this, then you can be considered as qualified free zone. But among all these requirements, the most important requirement to determine whether you are a qualified free zone is you must derive qualified income. So what is qualified income? Let's go next. Before that, if you do not meet this requirement, you will be considered as non-qualified free zone. Therefore, your tax regime will follow the standard. The zero, which is the 375, and then excess the 9%. Okay? Next. So, to maintain adequate substance, these are the requirements. Okay? Your core income generating business must be, okay, within the free zone. You are making money within the free zone. If you are not making money if you're making money not only inside but also outside the free zone, you don't belong to this adequate substance. Okay? You must have employees and assets maintained inside the free zone. Okay, now, those of you who are registered with free zone, okay, let me check. Are you making money within the sea, only within the free zone where you operate? If no, then you cannot be a qualified free zone. Meaning, if you're in Sharjah free zone, but you have customers in Dubai, you have customers outside of Sharjah free zone, you cannot be qualified free zone. Okay? Next. So, qualified income, it has categories. Okay? The first income is income derived from transactions from other free zones. So, it is possible that you're a free zone company. You're not only making money within your free zone, but you have also customers from other free zones. Okay? Free zone to free zone. This is covered under qualified income. Okay? However, if you are making money outside of your free zone, next slide. We have to qualify what is your business activity. Okay? Whether you have a qualifying activity and your activity is not excluded activity. Okay? This is where it becomes complicated. Okay, let's go. Next. Okay, I'll start with excluded activity. Mention all the excluded activity, Angela. Okay, good. Start. Okay? So if you're a free zone, check your business activity. Does your activity include any of this? Do you transact with natural person related to shipping and aircraft? Are you a banking and finance company? Are you exploiting intellectual property assets? But if you have this activity in your trade license, forget it. You cannot be qualified. So, if you are not one of these activities, then you're okay. Now, we need to check the second qualification, which is the qualifying activity. Okay? So, make sure you don't have excluded activity. Number two, if you have no excluded activity, make sure your activity belongs to this qualified activity. Okay? Check your business activity. Manufacturing and processes of goods or materials. Done inside the free zone. Done inside the free zone? Madam? Yeah, okay. Holding shares and other securities. ownership and operations of ships, regulated insurance and fund management, financing services, leasing of aircraft, and most important also is distribution of goods in or out of destination, subject to. If you have customers outside the free zone and you don't have an excluded activity, but your activity is within this list, you can be a qualified free zone. So, posible ka. So, you're possible for a qualified free zone. The problem with qualifying free zone is there are more requirements. You need an audit. You cannot carry loss forward. Okay? You need different compliance for transfer pricing. So there's a lot of things of going on, but you can. Now, what is the benefit of having a qualified free zone? Is you have zero. Now, when we try to check, they control the list. Meaning, even if you're a service company registered in a free zone, which is most of the service company and consulting company that are registered in free zone, right? They can never be a qualified free zone. Why? Okay, you're a free zone, but you're dealing outside the free zone, class, standard rate, right? Okay, now, there is a de minimis requirement. So now you have a qualified income. There is a third step. The third step now is we need to compare now your qualified income versus non-qualified income. If your non-qualified income does not exceed 5% for your total income, or 5 million, whichever is lower, okay, then you can be a qualified result. But if it turns out that your non-qualified income is more than 5%, sorry guys, you are still non-qualified result. See, it's very difficult. So it's not for everybody. But this can be a helpful tool if you as a company, you'd be able to assure that your activity is a qualified activity. So then, maybe, later when you strategize your compliance, you'll be able to segregate the qualified income from the non-qualified income and set up a separate company for that. Anyway, I will discuss that on the strategy. Next. Okay? So I'm not covering the details, but that's the principle. If you are a free zone, not necessarily that you are a qualified free zone. To be a qualified free zone, number one, you must make money within the free zone only. Otherwise, other free zone, but not outside the free zone. If you're dealing with customers outside the free zone, then you need to check whether your activity is a qualified activity. If yes, then you have a qualified income. Those that are not qualified income, you will compare. So your total revenue, you compare now how much percentage is your non-qualified, how much percentage is your qualified income. If your non-qualified is more than 5%, then you are non-qualified person. So that's the technical calculation for that. Okay? Now, if you are not a qualified reason, your standard, you are covered by the normal corporate tax. The same as the mainland. The mainland and the non-qualified reason will become the same in terms of compliance and even relief. Okay? Okay. One last point on the qualified reason. Okay, assuming you are now qualified reason, you have done over the criteria and you found out that you are a qualified reason. Okay? So in your return, you can actually confirm now that you are filing as a qualified reason. However, the corporate tax return allows us also an option to elect not to be a qualified. So even if you are not a non-qualified, you are not forced to be on that regime. You have an election, you have a choice, like, okay, I find, thank you for the 0%, but I like the 375 and I like the 9%. I want to elect the standard rating. But there is benefit of doing that. What is the benefit? If you are a small business relief, then you can avail a zero, right? Because if you are a qualified reason, if your profit is 50,000, you still pay tax. Because you cannot avail the relief of the 3 million. You cannot avail the relief of 375,000, right? So in some cases, I am a qualified freezer, but my revenue is less than 3 million. Maybe it's better not to be a qualified freezer, or rather have to be a normal standard rated company. So then I can avail small business relief. I can avail net carry loss over. Your losses you can cover, right? You don't need audit. You know? That one itself is good. You don't need an audit, right? So, and you can find a simplified return. Qualified, if there are 500 questions, you will answer 100%. So there are that benefit, no? So, do you like the 0%, but you have to struggle all this?
No.
Or, I like the 375 with the 9%, but I'm relaxed, but I don't need to pay anyway. So, it's the planning in the compliance. Okay, next. Okay, now, exempt person, so I just have to run this over because you are not applicable. None of us here are exempt person. But just for our information, government entities, they are automatically exempt. Second, extractive businesses and non-extractive natural resources, they have to apply to the Ministry of Finance to be exempted. So what are these examples? If they are extracting oil, so they are extractive. Non-extractive, so these are distribution, refinery, they can be exempted, but they have to apply. Next, qualifying public benefit entity, NGOs. Okay, they need to apply also so that they can receive donation. The donation that they will receive is still taxable and they are out of scope of the corporate tax. Then next will be public and private pension, qualifying investment funds, holding own control the subsidiaries control. This must be approved by the minister also. It's not automatic, but they are also exempt. Okay, now, in some cases where government actually set up companies to make profit, if they do, then they are covered with corporate tax. But as it is already as a government entity, personality, then there is no tax. So, do you see yourself in that list? No. Okay. Unfortunately, we are covered. Okay? Next. Tax group. Okay, tax group. So I'm also covering this very quickly as well. So what are tax group? So this can be multiple companies. So it doesn't mean you have different companies owned by the same people. Automatically you are qualified to do a tax group. The tax grouping in VAT and the tax grouping in the corporate tax have different rules. Okay? Sa tax grouping ng VAT, of the VAT, you just need a common director. Once it is established that two companies have common director, regardless of interest or ownership shares, you can be a tax group. But in the corporate tax, to become a tax group, at least the member companies must have at least 95%. Any controlling interest on that, less than 95%, you cannot qualify to tax group. So when you're considering going tax group now, you evaluate the control structure of each company. Okay, company A, who is the major shareholder? Okay, company X, 95% or less. If yes, okay, think. Anything that covers under 95%, then we can include. Anything not, excluded. Now, what's the benefit of tax group? There is a benefit in tax group. One obvious benefit for tax group is you are required only to submit one return for all. You don't need to submit one by one. Number two, okay, losses of one company can be shared with the other tax group. So one company might be profitable, the other one is not, and because you are consolidated, you are one. So it will offset. One disadvantage. So tax group, you have only one threshold of 375. Unlike if it is individual separate, you can enjoy the threshold individually of the 375. Thank you, Hans. Okay? So be careful when analyzing whether you want to do a tax group or not. Okay? The key there, decision must be, can I enjoy the 375 for each? Because when you compute the entire impact on that, and if you can save more, then do not do the group. But as a whole, when you calculate, you still save because you have more losses that you can bring with the group, and you save more than you choose tax group. Okay? So, of course, there's a limitation. If you're a qualified prison, again, you cannot be part of that group. Exempt person, you cannot do that as well. It's important that all members have the same financial year and the same accounting standards across the same. Okay? Otherwise, it will be difficult to have a tax group. Okay. Next. Corporate tax registration. Okay? Juridical and resident person. So, I think we know these deadlines already. Now, if you are a new company, you are a juridical and resident person. If you have a new company, so because sometimes you create your own new company, right? Just remember, after the deadline to register for corporate tax for the new trade license issued must not exceed 3 months from the date of issuance. Excess of 3 months, penalty 10,000. Okay, so be careful incorporating as many companies without making note that you need to register for corporate tax as well. Next. Okay, so other juridical person, if you are a prison, 3 months from establishing recognition, foreign jurisdiction, so 3 months from the end of financial period of that person. Okay, next. It's not to that anymore because everybody has registration already. Okay, just move on. Next. Okay, stop here. Okay, I want you to emphasize natural person again. So if you have less than 1 billion, no registration. If more than 1 billion, you need to register on the following year of where you reach the threshold, maximum not later than March 21. Okay? Once you are registered, you are covered with a standard rate. So natural person, I repeat, are still standard rated. Okay? Natural person are standard rated. Okay, next. Okay. Wow, I didn't realize I finished the second session. Okay, now, you need a break?